of the evening is Victoria Rossi. Victoria is a legal aid journalist and fiction writer. She and her friend Lyndon Kunit are co-writing a novel set in a magical American West. It's the story of three sisters, two sisters who one day walk into the sky, and the third sister, Tessa, who, as usual, is left behind.
So this scene takes place in a general store where the protagonist, Tessa, is stealing supplies for her journey out west to find her sisters. Just as the store clerk is about to catch her, a strange woman walks in, telling a desperate tale. Once my husband died, we buried him fast and ran from the sickness as if we could beat it on horseback. Not a week later, my little daughter began to cough and flush with fever. My son has grown weak and he calls for daddy and I can do nothing. I came at my wit's end upon this town. And you, sir. The clerk was leaning over the counter, his face riveted and full of pity. I don't know why the sickness has not touched me, the woman murmured modestly, drawing her hand along her neck. But I swear I will cure my children, sir, as only a mother can. Still, I need medical aid. She began to list a number of ointments, tinctures, and herbs that Tessa didn't recognize. Tessa peered further out from behind the shelf, her wariness of the clerk outdone by curiosity. How would this mysterious woman cure her children? Bateman's drops, the woman announced. Philadelphia Epsom salts. She ticked off supplies like a queen on her long white fingers. The clerk nodded, scribbling it all in his daybook. He never offered a price, nor did he demand a certain good in barter, but instead said of course, or naturally. When the goods became increasingly grand, even outrageous, a full set of queensware dishes, 3 kegs of green tea, a scoop of fine cinnamon, 7 pairs of small leather shoes, a pickaxe, and a red ribbon with stitching, he never threw up his hands. There was none of the loud and disdainful haggling that Tessa was used to from clerks, just an exaggerated, gentlemanly courtesy. Her list finished, the woman took a deep breath. And after I heal my children, her chin lifted bravely, we will go to the World's Fair in Chicago to fulfill my husband's dream. I'm from Chicago. The clerk hurried out the words. My people, I don't mean to boast, but my father knows practically the whole. Oh, splendid. Then perhaps you could help me with something small? A letter or two of introduction? The clerk brought from beneath the counter a stack of fine parchment. He began to write. The woman settled onto a stool, crossing her legs to reveal layers and layers of petticoats, each one different shade of black. A purple-black midnight, a brown-black crow feather. The black covered all but her hands and face, which was fixed on the letter. At one point she said, wouldn't it be nice if you wrote that we'd known each other a bit longer? The clerk smiled and crumpled the expensive paper, starting over. He did this again and again, not seeming to mind as the woman whispered changes in his ear. Soon he'd exhausted his stack. There'll be more in the back, he said, and better light to write by. He headed to the storeroom with his fine feathered quill. At the doorway he paused. By my honor, dear woman, I swear I will open as many doors as I can for you. His expression was solemn, his voice shook with emotion. Dear woman, he said again, and closed the door behind him. As soon as he was gone, both Tessa and the woman moved quickly. Tessa for a rifle that hung from the ceiling, the woman for a tin cup that dangled from the whiskey barrel. Tessa saw the woman do it just as the woman caught sight of her. They eyed each other across the room, and then the woman laughed, a scratchier sound than the fine china tinkle she'd had with the clerk. She dipped her cup in the barrel and winked at Tessa. I'm sure he meant to offer, she said, console a grieving widow. She raised her tin toward the storeroom. To a man who likes his women tragic, she toasted, taking a long, thirsty sip. I think he just likes you, Tessa blurted, then blushed, embarrassed for speaking so frankly. The woman smiled and set her cup on the counter. When the clerk turns his back, young girls reach for many things. They reach for mirrors, silk gloves, brown sugar, books even. But this young girl makes a gun. What is it you came here wanting? She nodded towards Tessa's swollen bags. A lot, it seems. Pa's pain. I would have asked for help, but the clerk. But the gun, my dear, I sense a story and I must know it. So tell me, what is it? Her denim eyes fixed on Tessa. They were open, curious, an invitation to honesty. Are you the child of roaming gypsies, a farm girl with daddy on his one trip to town? The question seemed to come from another world. Tessa forgot the clerk, forgot her theft. What's your story? No one had ever asked it of Tessa, and Tessa had never asked it of anyone else. Most often, people spoke to her in commands, her father to work, her sisters to play. The questions that did come at her, 2 times 2 equals what? Who is the first president of the United States of America? Even, where are your sisters? Seemed made for straight responses. This question made her dizzy. It was so big, and Tessa worried that her answer would be far too small. She felt the words leave her like sap from a tree, dripping slow but inevitable. I'm looking for my sisters. They're missing. The woman's eyes lit up. And you, she sang, the brave, loving sister, have set off on the trail to find them, striding into the sunset, facing down danger, let follow what may. Her voice sailed over the words and lifted Tessa in its gust. She felt her chest swell with pride. The image shivered before her. She was gripping a black horse. She was chasing down her sister's foes. She was Tessa, the gun-slinging hero. She didn't just see it, she felt it. Horse sweat on the back of her thighs, the bite of gunpowder in her nostrils. She liked it, she wanted it, but a thought sliced into the vision and forced itself out. They might have left me, she said. The woman paused, frowning. So, she went on, the 2 vain and careless girls left the Cinderset girl behind and went to the ball alone. They never suspected that you, the poor and deserving sister, would catch them up and eclipse them all. Her face searched Tessa's as if waiting for something. Tessa couldn't tell what. You will have your time with glass slippers. She took Tessa's hand in hers, sounding smooth and buttery again. And your prince. Cinderset, maybe, if straw fires counted. And Tessa was poor, but deserving? She looked down at her stolen sacks. I don't think they went to a ball, she said slowly. But they were dancing when they left, I think. They were so far away. There are many ways to thread a tale, sweet girl, but you don't know which way to point the needle. Her voice was sharp. What sort of story do you like best? True ones, Tessa said. The woman's beautiful pale face, once peaked with interest, went blank. It was as if a curtain had dropped. How dull, she murmured, turning back to the counter. I thought I saw something shine in you. Tessa wanted to follow after her, to tell the woman she loved not true stories, too. Fantastical tales of dragons that ate gold and lumberjacks that felled forests with one turn of the axe. But with her sister's disappearance, all she wanted was the truth of that one thing. How to get them back. Maybe the woman would understand, but her tone was familiar. Dismissed, it said, passed over. For Tessa, it was an old story. She turned back to her bags. Then a flat voice called to her from across the room. You say you want true stories, the woman said, her tone full of spite and certainty. The true story, I know, is that Death is tramping across this strip of country, and lately his scythe is swinging wide for children. I suspect your sisters are dead.
So that's it for the evening. Thank you so much for coming, and